because we are speaking a little bit about investing, but as well a lot of mindset today. And from the investment part, real estate is first a real accessible asset. Second, it's a real possibility to save taxes. The third point is you can actually use it with external money. And the fourth part is it is a real game changer because the real estate is there. It's stone. It's something where you can live in and giving people a home. So it's a real counterpart to inflation.
Welcome to Investing Insights, where we chat with experts from various industries to uncover investing lessons that empower everyday people like you. Today, we're diving into a journey of early entrepreneurship and diversified investing with Sven Franzen, a marketing expert and founder of Tiger Marketing Group in Frankfurt, Germany. Sven is known as Germany's youngest entrepreneur and started his first company at 16. He leads Tiger Marketing Group since then, focusing on building marketing strategies for German SME companies. This podcast episode is for financial education purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. Always consult a qualified professional for personalized guidance. Sven Franzen, thank you for joining us today at Investing Insights.
Thank you, Georg. Happy to be here.
For me, it's really inspiring and also, a great pleasure to have you here on the podcast. We've known each other for many years, but it's very valuable that you can share your expertise with us. And I would first talk about your story. You have been famous in Germany for being Germany's youngest entrepreneur, so 16 years old and needing to found a company. But then I know you always told me my goal is as well to reach financial independence by 40. So let us know, how has this journey evolved? How was it for being such a young marketer on the German market and now working towards this goal with being independent with 40?
Yeah, thank you for this question and this historical flashback. To be honest, it was really interesting to found a company that young because you have so much ideas, you have so much drive and energy, and I was unique. So I didn't need really a unique selling proposition because I was, as a personal brand, the unique selling proposition. It was a very nice journey and I loved it. I had my ups and downs for sure. And when you got into a conference room and everybody looks at you and says, "Oh, okay, seems that you are the trainee. When will your boss come? We have a meeting with Mr. Franzen today," and you think, "Okay, that's me." And how do I tell them in the hell now that it's me? Because they think they will be totally another person coming along. And I said, "It's me. Hello." And there was a silence in the room for some minutes. But then they said, "Okay, nice, let's start." So it's a really interesting story. And as you said, I started so young, so that for me, it's very important as well to take that time. Started very young with big ambitions, but over the time, I realized at some point that freedom, my lifetime, my health, my ability to design my daily life and travel is making me into independent decisions, and that mattered more for me than anything else. So that was actually my idea since I began so early. I think and assume I have the right as well to drop out earlier and to set the goal to reach financial independence by 40. So now it's 4 years to go. I think I'm a really good road, and I don't stop working after that at any point. I don't believe that, but I think I will feel free enough in order to choose what I'm working on and for who and why. And that's the freedom I'm speaking of, what's so important for me.
Great. And to found your company with 16, you needed the support of your parents, right? It was not possible to just issue an invoice. You had to found a company or get your setup in legal groundwork. So how did you do that, and how were your parents in that phase? Did they support you, or did you need to convince them?
Yeah, very good question, Georg. Actually, my parents were always very supportive. They did not like the idea from the first day. For sure, they were worried that I maybe would lose control about my decrees, about my marks in school, etc. So that was a kind of discussion within the family, but I used a very old law option. It's coming from earlier times when maybe the father was dying early and the son should take over the company or the farm. And I used this article in our law in order to found my company with 16. It's called partielle Vollgeschäftsfähigkeit in German. So it means that you are not able to found a company only with 18, but you can do it then with the permission of a guardian or with the permission of the legal part, that you can do it officially on your own. And so I did it on my own. So my parents supported me, but I did it on my own. So it was not a company on my parents' name and they had to issue invoices. It was then on my name. And the government had a really big control on that as well. So I had to give them my marks every 6 months in order to prove that my schoolwork is going on and successful, and that I will reach my Abitur and I will successfully fulfill my story and my school duties.
Yeah, great that you've done that you had the courage to do it. Now, you're 20 years into running a marketing agency, and I have marketing agency, a recruiting agency myself, and I know it's not easy because you have ups and downs. You're really dependent on how the market is working. You have to constantly work on having a sales pipeline and looking at about investments. It's always good to have a recurring income so you can plan how much you can invest or set aside. How have you managed that over 20 years to keep your agency afloat, to keep it stable, and to be able to work towards your financial independence while not having a fixed income, just really relying on yourself and your marketing skills, sales skills, and such?
Yeah, it's a very important question. So I think the first secret is that over 20 years, I think I reinvented Tiger marketing for more than 5 times. Why is that? We started with only making websites. It was 2005, the big deal. And as you know, 7 years later, it was something everybody was offering on the market. So prices go down, and we needed to reinvent ourselves. And I think this is one of the big success secrets I have, that I always saw it coming. Something is happening on the market, and I decided to reinvent the company. Second thing is, I always designed my business model not only in delivering a service, but always delivering as well a long-term contract or service with the product we are selling. So, concrete example, if we sold a website, I said, oh, the big problem of the client is they need a hosting and they need a good server in order to have a very quick website, which is important for SEO. Okay, so we take a server, we design it that our clients can use it very quick, very redundant with the newest technology, and they should pay us on a retainer basis for this hosting. And of course, let's say I'm paying for the server less than all my 500 clients are paying to us. And that's the business model behind it. So we sold the service and the result of one website, which was a one-time payment. But we have then, let's say, a SaaS or an Abo model where we actually got a retainer-based income every month. The second or the third point is that I always had a very big focus on cost sides. So the cost center were always in my focus. And as in Germany, we say there are some people which are called Schwaben, and they are really known for being very looking onto the pricing. So I was always looking onto the cost side. I was living my inner Schwabe. And that's why my agency is actually built fully in the cloud. So we advise clients, we build strategies and operate with a remote core team that feels like a family as well. And we are giving clients the stability of a single trusted partner. But at the same time, for every project, we assemble a custom team of specialists, freelancers, similar to how develop and brings in the best craftsmen for the project. So the most services include a long-term success support as well, where we are having a service retainer. And I think that was the big point to bring my company to 20 years and to a successful base for all my further investments. And I think it was as well that I'm a very grounded person, and I was always spending less than I was earning. So I was starting to save, to leverage, and to invest. And that discipline, I think, was the beginning of my independence and my goal for the 40.
Amazing. And I assume new reinventions are coming. I know you have your agency business, but it's also about your expertise as a net marketing expert. So I know you're also offering consulting activities in this like sparring partner program. Could you tell a bit more about what you do there?
Yes. So first of all, we are a consulting firm. So we are mostly consultant who are advising in direction of strategy, go-to-market, and how to build your brand. Of course, if you build up the trust to us, the client is asking for us to invent the brand, so invent the storytelling, write the texts, redesign the logo and the brand, and redesign the website. So that's the full craftsman's we are having as a team, but the core team is actually conceptioning and consulting. And many clients saw me as well as a role model as an entrepreneur, as I'm now 20 years an entrepreneur, and they ask for a kind of guidance, mentoring, and maybe a safe space to reflect their own mindset. And at some point I realized, oh, this is something which is not just helpful, it's a real value I'm offering to them. It's a benefit. So I decided, okay, that could be a business model. It's one kind of a real reinvention of myself as well. And I started sparring session where, of course, I only work with people whose values are aligned with me, but these sparring sessions are more or less 1 hour, and it's easy to integrate for a video call, for example, or via phone. And we talk about everything from mindset to business challenges until to investments, or how maybe I can save taxes. And many entrepreneurs, maybe you know that feeling sometimes, Georg, we are feeling alone. So it's hard to find somebody on eyesight, a partner where you can speak with. It's hard to maybe to discuss something with yourself because you're alone with you in the room. So you need somebody. You need a sparring partner. You need somebody with the same experience like you. And I think I give these people the trusted space and share my insights and all, let's say, my good advices right from my heart out of 20 years in business and having built up 7 companies. And that's actually what I'm doing in my sparring partner program. So a lot of people just would like to jump in a quick call, 1 hour, which is easy to align with your calendar. And then we build up the roadmap for the next 2 weeks or 4 weeks, and then you go your way alone, and then we jump again in a call. That's more or less how it works.
Cool. Really nice. So you're using your expertise to help more business owners out there. Let's talk about real estate. I know you've tried different things. You purchased real estate, but you rented it out to fixed tenants, but also for holiday rental. Explain us a bit. How is that going? I assume you had to turn into a real estate expert, at least in your area around Frankfurt. How would you assess that? How was the risk that you had to take? And how's the return then? Was it worth it? If yes, what was more worth it? Like having fixed tenant or having really the holiday rental? And how does real estate play into your goal for financial independence with 40 and beyond?
Yeah. So I think you got to the point. So real estate is one of my biggest assets and one of my core anchor for my 40 goal. to be honest, the story was very hard at the beginning. So I bought my first real estate. Actually, for me, it was my home. It was the classical way, which is not an investing way. It's just, I want to have a home, so I buy an apartment. So I did. And it was very interesting because I was looking at the project and I said, okay, this would be my apartment, 70 square meter, 2 rooms, and that fits for us. And it's very, very good to pay as well. The pricing was very well. I called them one day later because I didn't accept the reservation fee. So I said, I won't reserve it. I think about it, I sleep a night, and tomorrow I call you, and I don't think the apartment will be sold. I called them one day later, and the apartment was sold. So they said, we have one apartment left in that project, and that apartment is more or less the double of the apartment size you wanted to buy. It's the double of the pricing as well, let's say. I was thinking about it and I told them, okay, I will reserve it because I wanted really a real estate in that project and in that area. I reserved it. I got to my bank and they said, it's not a problem. We can do that. And I was really surprised because it was the double size of the apartment. It was not the apartment I wanted to buy. And it seems for me like a big mountain in front of me, which I have to hike right now. And in the first 1 or 2 years, it was really a big pressure on me to get that money to pay the bank each month. It was like, a hard burden on me. But after 2 or 3 years, it was actually easy. It was a normal way, and I loved it. I loved to do it. And this real estate experience motivated me to buy more real estates. So today I'm with 12 objects and I invested, as you said, in different objects, in more party houses, in apartments. I have a house as well. And the most of them, mostly 80%, are rented to fixed people. And one of the apartments, and it's actually the first one where I lived in, is an Airbnb. And to be honest, I did it as well because how life is playing sometime. It was a personal separation. And I decided I don't want to have anything of the past in my new life. It's a new chapter. It's a blank page where I rewrite my life. I reinvent myself as a person, and I don't want anything to interfere from the past. I think it's really as well all about mindset in that case. So I decided to leave all my things back, the washing machine, the dishwasher, my sofa, my couch, my bed, everything. And I said, what I do with an apartment with all these things in it. So in Germany, you can do mobiliertes Vermieten. You can do it actually on a long-term perspective, or you can do it on short-term. And I decided, okay, I will do it on, let's say, a middle version. So we are not that type of Airbnb where you go 2 days, but we are a type of Airbnb to start your life in Germany. So normally you stay with us 3-4 months in order to find a kindergarten for your children, to find your first bigger apartment, and to get a start here in Germany. And that's really a big niche for us, and it's working very well. And as you asked, what are the benefits, or what maybe is a little bit a kind of challenge? I would say if you have a fixed rental agreement, it's always the same. It's boring, but you're giving a home to people, and it's as well important from a social perspective and value for society. So I like it. But what I love, and you know that because we know each other very well from my traveling experience, from living abroad in Brazil and in London, I love to be in contact with the international people who are staying in our Airbnb and having, let's say, the first starting ramp into the German life in our apartment, and we are giving them a home on time. And that's a really nice feeling. I love it. And for sure, it's not boring because, of course, we have some guests would maybe sometimes they are breaking something and not telling us, or they are using a lot of water and we're having high water costs. But this is part of the game. And what is much more the positive vibe here is to get in touch with all these international people. So I really need to say that I invested a large part of my agency cash flow into real real estates, and I'm benefiting from the appreciation and the strong tax advantages here in Germany as well. And for me, it was the most enjoyable, low risk and solid element of my long-term wealth building to my 40s. So I would highly recommend to anybody.
Amazing. Yeah, you've mentioned at the beginning, like buying a home is not an investment if you really live in there
Yes,
and
it
if you
is
make it
not.
your home.
Yes.
But I remember in your flat, we once played this board game, Cash Flow, where we
Yes.
had to learn a really nice game for financial education, where you had to learn you have to have more passive income than your monthly cost to get out of the red ways. And I
Yes.
assume with having monthly rentals coming in, you kind of get this stability to say, if everything would go wrong, if my agency doesn't bring any returns anymore, I could live off from my rental income. Was that the goal, and is that the plan that you have followed and
Yes.
hopefully
Yes.
achieved already?
It's one of the goals which I already achieved. And maybe let me dig into that a little bit more, because we are speaking a little bit about investing, but as well a lot of mindset today. And from the investment part, real estate is first a real accessible asset. Second, I'm speaking for Germany, a real possibility to save taxes if you are renting to other people, because you can actually use it against your tax duties. That's very convenient. The third point is you can actually use it with external money. And the fourth part is it is a real game changer because the real estate is there. It's stone. It's something where you can live in and giving people a home. So it's a real counterpart to inflation. And we are really confronted with a lot of inflation problems at the moment in the Western countries, Europe, European Union, America, USA. So real estate will always be as well a part as a good counterpart to inflation. So this is the one side. The mindset side is what I learned the last years. As you said, building your own home is not an investment. But as you know that I had a time where I was without a home, we need to say that having a home is as well a very nice situation, and it's very peaceful and calming for your mindset and your heart and your soul. So as well as an own home which you build or buy for you is not a real investment, and a lot of people are saying against it. I assume today, from my knowledge and my experience, my own personal experience, is as well, it can be a very important element in your life to have a peaceful life, that you have your own home. On the other hand, if I have a look at this first apartment, which I bought and I lived in it, it went so much to the top and it developed so good in pricing that I can say I lived there without costs. So to say it is not an investment, I understand the investors, and it's true from that investment and tax perspective. But on the other hand, if you live there and it goes up in the value, and let's say you lived there for 10 years and you didn't pay rent and you didn't pay anything because the value got so high, you was living in a home which is yours with a peaceful mind without paying anything. It's as well a kind of passive income or investment from another perspective, but as well from my perspective.
Well understood. Thank you. And to get really knowledgeable about the real estate market, like in any investment, we should not just go ahead and out of the guts and choose, okay, I will buy something here and there. You should inform yourself. So how did you do that? Did you educate yourself? Did you hire experts who helped you in that journey? How did you structure that approach?
Both. On the one hand, I had mentors, I had experts which I hired and consultant. On the other hand, I was reading books, I was reading blogs, I was watching YouTubes, I was eating it all up, let's say, just to get more idea and more knowledge about that. And today I'm doing it from my own perspective. I have some kind of data analysis software which I'm using, and then I'm asking experts or mentors in order to give me their opinion. And actually, you can't always say, in regards of real estate, it's a good investment or a bad investment. It depends on your goal and depends what you would like to do there. So you can buy a totally old real estate or old farmhouse if you have a goal to build their real nice Airbnb or hotel services, so you can reinvent that place. If your goal is to reinvent something, if your goal is only to have a passive income and you don't want to have anything with that, buy a real nice cubic apartment and you have a kind of administrator who is doing the administration and you don't have to care of anything else and only the passive income is coming in. So it depends always on your goal, on your mindset, where you're standing, what you're looking for as your vision, what you would like to do with the real estate. The real estate is only the vehicle and the tool, but it brings you nearer to your goals, and it depends on goal and vision, what you would like to do.
But you're not just a real estate investor, you also invest in liquid assets on the stock market.
Yes.
Could you tell us a bit how would you consider your risk profile as a stock investor? And what's your goal there? Do you have a goal for a yearly or 3 or 5 year return?
Okay. So starting with real estate is very conservative, and I'm really conservative in that way, and I'm always going on the low risk profile there. So that's why I decided to go in the stock market with a high risk strategy. So I combine equities, for example, like ETFs from MSCI World, equity linked bonds, and leverage through calls and puts. So I combine it in a very special way, just to really leverage it through. So actually, that's a high risk strategy here, and it's totally the opposite to my real estate investment strategy.
Okay. So to do all of that, are you doing this on your own, like putting the puts and calls, observing the market on a weekly or daily basis? Is that something you manage on your own, or you outsource that and a financial advisor does it for you?
Both. So I have in my holding, combined with my operative companies, I have actually an advisor. It's a family office who's doing it for me, but I do have a stock market depot for me personally, privately as well. And there I'm doing it on my own. And I'm doing it in reading a lot. So reading is key for me. So I'm reading Handelsblatt, I'm reading all the economic newspapers, I'm reading online, I'm reading with some experts and mentors, I'm having calls with them. And then I'm making up my mind and my vision about the world, what will happen economically, politically, and what would be the impact on the stock markets or on different stocks. And then let's say clearly and frankly, I'm betting on that market. And it's actually nice to do it on myself as well. In my professional way, in the holding and company, I would like to have it in a professional family office, and I don't have so much time. But on my private depot, I would like to do it on my own because it's fun.
Great. So I see you do your homework. You not just say, I want to go also in the stock market, I will hire an expert. You really try to understand and to really know what you're doing, or at least what the people that you hired for are also doing, so you can evaluate their job, right? Because they don't do it for free. You will have to pay them a fee to do that.
Not only that, but you said it right, Georg. I did my homework. So I think that's part of the homework, that you need to prepare not only your mindset, but you need to understand it as well, what is going on there. But only then you can control the people you're hiring, and you can understand if the payment is equal to the benefit they are bringing to you. That's why I'm doing it on my own as well.
Yeah. In that sense, the strategy sounds legit, that you say, okay, there's inflation every year. You have to at least beat this, and then you still have to pay a financial advisor who also has a usually percentage base on your portfolio performance. So going for higher leverage products most likely helps in that sense to really have a good benefit for you and complement your real estate. And then I remember as well, a few years ago, you told me that you also co-invested or funded even startups. So you did some private equity, startup investing. How is that going? How was that? Explain us a bit about this type of asset class and your experience with it.
So I can make it very short here. It's exciting, but for myself personally, it's not the best investment category. So my 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 idea in the end is 1 out of 10 wins. That's more or less the rule. So you need to be clear of the idea that if you do 10 investments, maybe only 1 or 2 startups will break through and you have an exit and you have a really good return on invest. But the most of the investments maybe will go into closing the company as well again, or stopping the project, or maybe it's not possible or feasible to roll it out into the market because of governmental tax regulations. It's a little bit a difficult way, and that's why I decided, for me, not the best investment category. I maybe not the lucky mushroom here at that point.
Yeah, I understand you. It's really, you have to also invest time, right? If you do the classic one that you really get to know the founders, and then most likely be in the board or advisory board, or really check their numbers as well. It also needs some time invest from your
Yes.
end.
Yes. Yeah, it needs time. That's one of the points. And as well, as you said, it needs maybe as well patience until you maybe get to a concrete uh, um, to a concrete return on invest. From my perspective, as I said, it's really interesting and it's exciting to be part of that startup way, and maybe to be part of an advisory board, to be the mentor of the startup, and then as well being an investor. But for me, it's more the exciting part. I like to be the mentor and the advisor, but I don't want to be invested, because I know that investing for me is working very well with real estates and my stock market. That's where I'm focused on. And I think it's important as well in your life that you know where you're focused on and stay maybe with your focus and your niche. You don't need to do all the assets or to diverse in all the possible areas.
You've mentioned it already. You're not just a capitalist who just thinks about the returns. You have a really high motivation to help other people. And you and I, we've met through a mentoring program. I
Yes.
was just boarding my plane to Brazil, and luckily through an agency got connected with you. I said, like, if I go to Brazil, I want to have a mentor who has some understanding of my new way of life there. And yeah, so how has mentoring shaped your personal career and also your personality, both as a mentor but also as a mentee?
Yeah, yeah, I think a cycle completes here, because as we said in the beginning, I was starting my company in the age of 16, and I couldn't have done that so successfully without mentors and without people helping me and supporting me. So at that point, a very great thank you to all these people, and I'm very grateful to have learned from them. So that's why I wanted to give back something. And that's why I was your mentor. I was mentor, I think, about 50 people right now. It's always needed to be aligned on a value base. So if I don't like the person, or if the person is not on the same value base like me, it wouldn't work well. But I think that's the foundation as well of my sparring program. I truly love it to create value and to help people. And I'm sure that it creates value for both sides, because I wouldn't say that always a mentor will only give and the mentee is only learning. It's always vice versa. So as a mentor, you can learn as well a lot. I love this word as to say it's reverse mentoring then, because the mentee is temporarily putting into the role of a mentor, and the mentor is learning something as well from the mentee. And that's why I think it's very valuable for both parties. And it's a very important key for my success and for my career, because I was always mentoring others. They were mentoring me, and I'm always happy to hear people. So, for example, 2 weeks ago, I was meeting a person who is very valuable for me, and she's over 70. She's an entrepreneur since 50 years, and I was sitting with her in a room and just drinking tea and speaking about life and the world. And at some point, I had this kind of idea and question, and I told her, I do have some questions to you, and she, go ahead, go ahead. And I asked her 2, 3 questions, and I just got some concrete answers, and maybe they shaped my vision or my next steps, which are coming right now. And that's not that she's my mentor and I'm the mentee, and we never said something like, that's a mentor agreement and you are my mentor now. It was a nice interchange of ideas. It was a nice meeting, and then we decided to jump into that role and to learn from each other. And I think that's what life about. We need to learn from people who have more experience. And if we have more experience and we see that somebody is going to do maybe to make a mistake, we should advise the people, not maybe very cruel or very rude and direct. Maybe we just can say, I don't think it's a good idea because ABC. Think about it, sleep a night, and then take your next actions. I think it's important that we take care of each other and that we can learn from each other.
Beautiful. And you're also active with JCI, Junior Chamber International. So you have a big network there. Explain us a bit what you do there in this area.
Okay, so JCI is an international network of entrepreneurs and leaders. And when I was 16, founding my company, I was looking for network events in order to get to know other people and actually, to be honest, to sell my stuff. So somebody told me, they are the Wirtschaftsunion, they are called like that in Germany, and it's JCI Germany. So if you would like, maybe I can bring you there and you can have a look. And if you would like to, you can join. I was 16 years old. They decided that I cannot join until I was 18 because they weren't so secure about the law. But since I'm 16, so now more or less 20 years, I'm a member of JCI and I'm with them. And I was actually in any part. I was in world congresses in Goa, in India. I was in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro. I was traveling the world with them, having great conferences, learning from each other, training each other, and having as well the volunteering force power to help the society, to help the people. So my biggest milestone was when I did a big gala convention, and on the gala we put a really nice emotional speak on stage, and we showed them a QR code with a PayPal link, and they could a PayPal paying link, and everybody paid a little bit. And with this scala and with other people involved, it was a bigger project. We were able to build schools for children in Rwanda. And last year, I had the honor to visit JCI Rwanda, and with some JCs from Germany who were a very important part in that project. We traveled to Rwanda to see those schools and to open one new school, which we built as well. And this was a very nice, very, very nice project. And it was so heartful to see all the children, and they were staring at us, not only because we are white and different, but as well because we are let's say, the people who build that school for them. And they are so thankful to go to school to learn something for life. And it's something where I really can recommend to everyone, because as a JCI, you can give something back to society. It shaped me how I lead. It shaped me how I contribute, and it's a real unique network. And nowadays I'm a JCI senator, and I really can enjoy it more because we're having, let's say, more senator networks, and we are meeting up. So 4 weeks ago, JCI Brazil came to the World Congress to Tunis, and of course they had a step and layover in Frankfurt, and they asked me, would you mind to show us Frankfurt and maybe a little bit your region? And I said, sure, let's go. And we got into one of the villages here nearby, and I know the owner of a German brewery, and of course Brazilians are totally keen into German beer, and we got into the brewery, we got an exclusive insight, and we drank a little bit of the fresh beer directly from the Zwickel, and they got as well as a present German brewery beer class, and they were so happy. And it was just, let's say, one call away, and that's what this network is about. So I think JCI is in more or less in all of the countries. I can recommend to you, go on the website, have a look in Google, and maybe just join them for 1, 2, 3 events, and then make up your mind if it could be something for you as well.
Sven learned early the magic of building a strong network, and not by just gaining something from it, from really giving back to
Yes.
it. I think in your heart, you're not just German, you're also half Brazilian. Explain us why. Why you have this connection to Brazil.
Yes, actually, when I got to school, my mother wanted to go back to work, but her work was longer and she was later at home that I was getting back from school. So we had that idea, because we were very well friends with a Brazilian family living next to our house, that I would go to them, eat with them, and maybe doing my homework and then going back home when my mother arrived. And what is really interesting, as you know, the Brazilian vibe, jeitinho brasileiro, Georg, they integrate you directly. And if you're there with 10 or 20 Brazilians, they always have the grandma, the cousin, an uncle at home. So they just put a little bit more water into the feijoada and you are there, and everybody was speaking Portuguese. So what do a 5, 6-year-old German boy like me? He's speaking and imitating them, so speaking with them Portuguese. I started to learn the language. I started to really soak up the Brazilian culture. And one day when they decided to leave the country and to go back to Brazil, I decided to go with them to Brazil. And I lived there for more or less 1, 2 years. And it was, time of my life, to be honest, because it was something really new. I could learn more Portuguese. I could learn a new culture and really soak it up. And I think what it shaped my life is that as a German, we plan 10 years ahead with perfectionism. And Brazilians live in the moment. They live now. And I think the mix of both makes me not only successful, but as well fulfilled in my life. And I fall over tomorrow. If I fall over tomorrow, I think I know I lived fully as a passionate entrepreneur, but as well, I traveled the world. And that's what is important for me, not to regret any moment.
Yeah, very nice. I definitely resonates with me. As mentioned, I've lived myself in Brazil, so I know how it feels to be able to
Yes.
discover a new part of yourself, develop a new personality by just living in a different culture. And then you can bring that back home and integrate in your life here in Europe. If you think about in your life, if you had any setbacks, any failure that happened, and that has contributed to actually bringing you back stronger, what would you share? What is something that really has changed your life because of a failure?
So I think the failure in my life were always when I really wanted something and I was not capable to accept that maybe it shouldn't be. Sometimes it means just let it be. So, for example, I bought real estate 2 years ago, and the bank was saying something like, "Okay, it's a lot of time pressure to get it until the contract, and we don't know." And then the vendor said to me, "I don't sell it anymore for that price. I want more." And this actually should have been the red flag of my life, saying it shouldn't be. But I wanted it so strongly. I said, "I will do it." And I negotiated with my bank, I negotiated with the vendor, and we got an agreement. I signed it at the notary and I bought it. And it was one of the mistakes of my life. Actually, the company, we don't know if they are bankrupt or not, but for sure they stopped building and constructing. I had to do so many work. As I said, I'm a German perfectionist. I had to go there. I had to measure things. Some things were not aligned. They were not measured well. I was a kind of, really in stress for 1.5 years. Now it's a little bit getting better. We're having a better development again. And what I can say, looking back, maybe this was my bachelor or master degree in building and constructing real estate. So I'm seeing always the positive and good side in life. But it was something I wanted so much. And I did it, and it was 1, 2, 3 red flags visible, but I did ignore them for just wanting it. And I think that brings me to the learning. Sometimes in life we need to be patient. We don't rush. We shouldn't be greedy because of a big investment and a big return on invest. If anything breaks, like in that case when the constructor is stopping building the building and you paid a lot of money in that real estate, it doesn't help you. So I'm sure everything happens with a positive intent, even if you don't see it. So if you see a red flag, maybe it's better to be patient and to stop and to drop out and use the next door, which will open for sure.
Yeah, really nice to hear that. I mean, I know in Austria we have a strong culture of building properties, hotels as well, and really being on site on the construction side and seeing your real estate develop can be, for some people, of course, it's their big passion, but it can also be one of the most stressful lives in your times
Yes.
in your life, because you have the high stakes, you invested in it, but then you don't really see if it really comes out of this project. So great to hear that you also can share how to maybe not do it or be very careful in taking the right decisions. And if you look back in the past 4 years, let's say, is there any new behavior, habit, or belief that has shaped your life? Something that you have implemented in your day to day?
Actually, the most belief I just said in my previous answer, it is I am really happy to know and I trust that everything that happens with a positive intent and it happens for something good and positive in your life. You can continue with some of the sentence like, if one door closes, two will open up. This is the most important learning for me for the last 4 years and a very impactful belief because I'm very relaxed now, seeing coming a real big investing opportunity. I don't need to invest because I don't need to. And if it should not happen, it should not happen. And going back in our conversation, it was the same with my first real estate. I did not pay the reservation fee. And of sure, it didn't go as planned that I bought this smaller apartment, but I bought a bigger one and I have better investment and it was the best decision I could do. But it was some kind forced by life because I did not do the reservation. And then I said yes to the bigger apartment. And those experiences taught me the most. So I think my true master degree is life because life is telling me how to live. And the best habits in the last 4 years, I think, sleeping well and good, having good friends time, no drinking alcohol, and meditating a lot. That's the best habits in the last 4 years.
Amazing. You managed to stay on track with your financial goal, saying financial independence, but not losing yourself on the way,
Yes.
which is what can happen, of course, if this financial goal takes over too much of our mind, our goals, our life. And if you think back now, 20 years into business, and what is one of the best investments you've made? This can also be something non-financial.
Okay. Yeah, that's making it interesting. So I just wanted to say it's actually my first real estate and my first apartment, but my best investments, I would say it was my world travel when I was traveling the world because I was able to really get to know new cultures, new people, and we all know these Instagrammable pictures or posts where it's written the best money you spend, where you lose money or wealth, but you get so much more is actually traveling. And I can support that with that answer from my side. My best investment in life is traveling to get to know the world, the nice nature, the animals, the nice people everywhere, to hear and listen to new languages. I think that would be the best investment I have. And unfortunately, it's not a real ROI, return on invest, you can measure, but you can feel it in your soul and your heart.
And there's things that come back maybe many years later that you've learned, like specific culture or people. In my case, it was like traveling through South
Yes.
America and then having that idea of moving to Brazil. And then from Brazil later, I started to a business of like helping Brazilians to find a job in Austria. But 10 years had to pass for those things to really realize and manifest.
Yeah, that's true.
How old have you been when you did your around the world trip?
It was between 18 and 20.
Okay, so quite young. Really good. So what kind of advice would you give such a young person, like coming out of school or university and entering the job market in our very busy and dynamic 24?
I think one of my biggest advices would be study less, experience more life, travel the world. Life teaches you through falling down and getting back up. And you learn far more than in any book. Of course, it should not seem that we shouldn't reading. We should read, we should study and having a degree, but ignore advice that keeps you locked in theory and go into praxis and maybe travel and experience the world and life. That's my advice.
Yeah, especially because now we have something new. We can produce intelligence through AI. So maybe that level of like, I need to collect as much as formal knowledge is not that needed anymore. How do you see that for the job market as well, and for people to develop themselves professionally, personally, really specifically on the sense of AI? Do you see a shift there, what we need to focus on?
Yeah, I really agree with you, Georg. I think if you only learned stuff and you only can repeat the stuff or following a learned pattern, you won't have the possibility to continue very successfully in the future, because that's what AI is doing. That's what automation is doing. So in some years, 5 or 7 maybe, the machine can substitute you. So you need to find your inner place, your inner soul and heart, where a human being is needed for a service, for advising and consulting, for knowledge, but what only you as a human being can do. And that's why my advice is study less, experience more life, because life will tell you and life will teach you so much things. As well, having the network and interconnection with mentors, because you will learn really what matters. And I think in regards of AI, all the tasks we are having today, which can be automated, which can be a smoothly easy process, which only need to be collected information and knowledge, all these tasks or these roles as well as a career path will maybe fall and not exist anymore. So that's why I concentrate on something where human being is needed.
Very nice. Finally, who should I invite next to this podcast?
So I was thinking about that question a lot of time, and I'm sure you should invite my friend Rainer Schmidt, who was part of that project team to build schools in Rwanda. He actually exited his company, the family business, and is using the wealth and the money today in order to not only to invest, but as well to invest in society and in the human being and in peace and in our future. And I think that's something very beautiful. And yeah, I think it is the right person to invite into your podcast, Georg.
Thank you. It will be a pleasure to be talking to him. And I thank you very much, Sven, for sharing so much of your expertise, of your life knowledge, of starting your business from 16 and building it up to financial independence with not even 40 years. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Georg. Have a nice day.
Hey listeners, if this episode has sparked your interest for investing, click below. You can access our free online course, Investing Essentials, to learn the basics of investing, to develop your personal investment strategy, and dip your toes into this new financial world. We are here to support, help, and are super excited to have you on this journey. Remember, everything you've heard is financial education, not financial advice. Consult a professional if you need support. Tune in next for more insights. Keep learning with investing.